guys pulled off quite a stunt here at CES, bringing an Audi A7 from Silicon Valley to Las Vegas, driving on its own. Tell us the technology that went into the car and how soon buyers will be able to see it.
Well, I think the first thing, before the technology, it's the vision. And I think you've seen a lot of companies with press releases, and we might do this and we could do that. I think for Audi, we're not a might-could company. It's get this technology out and prove it. So 560 miles autonomously, quite cool. The technology really relies on something we call ZFAS, which is basically a whole lot of chips, a whole lot of processors, sensors, radar, all of these things, including cameras, working together to basically pilot that car down the road. So it's cool stuff.
Is it developed in-house, or do you partner with companies like Google that, very, very publicly have been developing this technology for many years?
We do partner. We have a long partnership with a company called NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is basically the backbone of mobile devices. They are the chip company, and we've had their chips in our cars for a long time, for generations, so that's a lot of it, but of course we work with Qualcomm and a host of other suppliers. But the truth be told, you've got to integrate all of these things, so you got to put your engineers with their engineers and really co-develop so it works on your product, what you're trying to develop. And look, I think when are you going to see this stuff? I think it's going to come sooner than anyone expects, and future generations will start to roll it out.
Will it come in the U.S.? Is the regulatory environment here ready for a driverless car?
I am an optimist, and I also believe in the fact, look, today, right now, we have adaptive cruise control systems in our cars. A8, 70% of the cars on the road, stops the car from 100 miles per hour, picks the speed up again. We also have lane assist and side assist, so the truth is, much of it is happening. Consumers are accepting it, and it's just going to keep progressing. So absolutely, it's going to happen.
So give me a prediction. As an affordable car buyer, not necessarily in the luxury car market, when do buyers like myself see an affordable, basically affordable, autonomous vehicle?
Well, you look like an A7, A8 guy, so if that's the case,
might be a little above my price.
I think in 4 to 5 years, you're going to start to see some big developments. Mainstream, I would say approximately 10 years. But look, if you look at what's happening with processing power, you look at what's happening with chip speeds and everything else, these things are multiplying faster and faster. So again, I'm optimistic, and I absolutely believe it will be accepted because it's safer, it's more convenient, it's more fuel efficient, and actually what it does is it prevents the biggest issue behind accidents, which is some form of driver error. And that's why it's going to be accepted, because it's going to work.
Right. I want to talk about your in-vehicle system, and you've introduced a new version of it here at CES.
Yeah.
Do you feel like buyers are now making decisions about the car they buy based on the in-vehicle computers? It seems like a lot of the systems basically duplicate the same features.
I can tell you 100% they are. I mean, I think if you look at that Audi Connect system, which basically allows you to navigate with Google Earth inside the car, it gives you point of interest search via Google up into the cloud to get access to all that information. If I look at it, 67% of every Audi on the road has Audi Connect. Surveys tell us 35 to 40% of them, the major buying reason was having Audi Connect. So we see it as being a very big thing. And as you referenced, we have the virtual cockpit on the TT behind me, and this is very, very slick. People don't want to go from their iPad mobile world where they have high processing speed, great graphics, and then hop into a car and says, well, I'm in a time warp here. We really need to keep up, and that's the magic of Audi.
Now, you guys have made the conscious decision to put the virtual cockpit right above the steering wheel. What does your internal data tell you about the possibility of distraction in the vehicle?
Everything we've seen from driver distraction, and we test this extensively. And look, there's a lot of things we do in our cars. There's also a lot of things we don't do intentionally for driver distraction. What we see there is, of course, you have a single screen as opposed to having a two screen. So I think for the TT, actually, there's going to be less driver distraction in that example. You're looking at the road. All your data is right there just below. I think it's a smart solution. 80–90% of all the action is on your steering wheel with the controls there. So I think it's quite there. But the point you make is accurate. And believe me, we're extremely cognizant of driver distraction. But let me tell you the flip side. If you don't integrate these things, what the customer is going to do is drive the car and use their phone, and we know that's the drop dead worst.